Imagine this terrifying scenario. You wake up feeling oddly dizzy, just a minor annoyance, you tell yourself. Ignoring your body's desperate signals, you stumble out of bed, skip that life-saving glass of water, gulp down medication on an empty stomach, devour a sugary muffin, and hurry out the door. Within moments, reality crashes down brutally. Your heart is hammering out of control, your vision blurs violently, and you're seconds away from a catastrophic collapse. Think this can't happen to you. Think again. Every year, thousands of unsuspecting seniors end up hospitalized or worse because of seemingly trivial morning mistakes that quietly ravage their balance, spike their blood sugar to deadly levels, and rapidly escalate cardiovascular risks. Ignore these hidden threats for just 5 minutes, and you might find yourself rushed into an emergency room, confronting dire consequences that rip away your independence, force you into painful recovery from devastating fractures, or leave you fighting for your life after a horrifying cardiac event. In today's video, we're revealing 4 morning habits that secretly drain your stamina, sabotage your mental clarity, and dramatically boost your chances of facing a health nightmare you never thought possible. These aren't insignificant slip-ups, they're proven danger zones repeatedly flagged by doctors around the globe. Once you witness how these insidious habits compound day after day, you'll see clearly why dismissing them invites swift and terrifying decline. Picture this chilling outcome: an unexpected ambulance ride to the hospital. Your autonomy stripped away overnight, leaving you confined and helpless. Don't dismiss this as exaggerated scare tactics. This is cold, hard reality, validated by extensive research from leading medical institutions. You might ask skeptically, could one missed glass of water or a small shift in my routine genuinely cause harm? Shockingly, yes, especially for anyone over 65. By the end of this eye-opening video, you'll understand precisely how each minor oversight sets the stage for serious, potentially deadly consequences. Remember, devastating strokes and heart attacks aren't random tragedies. They're the cumulative result of daily habits, tiny, seemingly innocent decisions that secretly pave the road toward disaster. If you cherish your heart, your mind, and your freedom, pay close attention. Just a few simple changes can dramatically rewrite your health trajectory, shielding you from frightening ER visits, safeguarding your independence, and extending your active, vibrant years beyond anything you imagined possible. Let's uncover these 4 lethal morning mistakes and arm you with the knowledge to avoid them forever. Meet Arthur, age 79, a retired high school principal who prided himself on punctual mornings. Every day at 6 a.m., sharp, he'd swing out of bed and stride to the bathroom, skipping any water and swallowing 3 different prescriptions as he pulled on his socks. Minutes later, he'd chug coffee munch, a sweet pastry, and hurry to check the mail or do a little yard work. One frosty morning, Arthur felt an odd, overwhelming dizziness. He collapsed on the driveway, fracturing his hip, only to learn later that a cascade of small missteps had laid the groundwork for that frightening fall. Doctors found no dramatic new illness, but they did point out a cluster of micro-habits that undermined Arthur's health: dehydration upon waking, medication taken with zero food, a spike and crash breakfast, and abrupt leaps out of bed that destabilized his blood pressure. The injury set him back for months. He faced rehab pain and a slow recovery process that left him weaker than before. That's the harsh reality. Even if your vital signs seem okay, these habitual behaviors can blindside you. The worst part: most older adults go decades without ever hearing a warning about them. In the sections that follow, you'll see how to dodge that fate. We'll break down each of these 4 pitfalls, referencing evidence from top medical authorities like the World Health Organization, WHO, Harvard, T.H. Chan, School of Public Health, and Dr. Michael Greger, physician and author, 2016, How Not to Die. You'll also discover a practical 7-day checklist that transforms your morning from a landmine into a fortress for long-term well-being. By addressing these problems proactively, you'll reduce your chances of falling prey to the silent yet insidious health drains that sabotage so many lives. And remember, if you're on any prescribed therapy, consult your physician before making changes. This advice is an enhancement, not a replacement. Let's start with the first critical misstep: skipping proper hydration. It sounds nearly trivial, but the moment you wake up, your body's already behind on fluid. According to the WHO, mild dehydration can emerge overnight and intensify if you ignore it. WHO 2017 Guidelines on Hydration. Depriving your cells of water in those early hours can thicken your blood, slow nutrient delivery to tissues, and stress your heart, especially if you're susceptible to arrhythmias or coronary blockages. Even more alarming, chronic dehydration elevates your risk of blood pressure, instability a stealth factor in sudden dizziness, confusion, and in worst cases, fainting spells. Too many seniors think coffee or tea counts as hydration. Yes, they do contain water, but caffeine acts as a diuretic, which can pull more fluid from your body than you realize. Over time, that casual choice can promote fatigue, hamper cognition, and aggravate kidney issues. Worse yet, dehydration can mask itself as normal aging. If you've ever woken up with a dry mouth, mild headache, or disorientation, ask yourself whether you had a single sip of water before your first cup of coffee. Consider Elena, a 78-year-old retiree who lived alone and complained about persistent grogginess and balance issues every morning. Her son insisted she see a doctor. Test results repeatedly showed no glaring disease. Finally, the physician asked about her morning fluid intake. Turned out Elena's entire morning beverage routine was a mug of strong coffee, no water in sight. By simply setting a glass of water beside her bed and drinking it before touching caffeine, Elena reclaimed her clarity and halved her spells of early morning wobbliness. Scientific data underscores that even mild dehydration can impair cognitive function in older adults. This is not marketing hype, but actual research from geriatric studies. Journal of Gerontology 2019. Plus, water is essential for flushing out metabolic byproducts that accumulate overnight. Without adequate fluid, toxins linger, cellular function slows, and your overall resilience drops. In short, ignoring a simple glass of water can ironically drain years from your life. How does this tie into major cardiovascular events such as a stroke or heart attack? Dehydration thickens the blood. Thicker blood means your heart has to pump harder. In vulnerable individuals, that extra strain can elevate the risk of dangerous clots forming. The result, an increased chance of that clot lodging in a coronary artery or a brain vessel, igniting a health emergency you never expected. Next up is a second widely overlooked trap: swallowing medications before you've eaten a morsel of food. While some prescriptions are indeed designed for consumption on an empty stomach, many seniors don't realize their regimens have changed over the decades. If you're older, your metabolism has slowed, your stomach lining is more delicate, and your body's ability to handle potent drugs has shifted. For instance, many blood pressure pills can push your pressure down too fast if your system lacks the stabilizing effect of food. The outcome can be lightheadedness, fainting, and the dreaded fall that breaks a hip or a wrist. You might assume my pharmacist said, "Morning is fine." Yes, but did they mention you might need a slice of toast or half a banana to buffer your system first? Or that certain pain relievers can be extra corrosive to an empty stomach, raising the risk of gastric ulcers or internal bleeding? Dr. Michael Greger, physician and researcher, 2016. NutritionFacts.org mentions that medication timing is crucial in older populations, especially if the medication interacts with your daily diet. The worst part: many seniors keep swallowing pills at dawn with no thought of how a single adjustment, like a small snack, could avert hours of debilitating nausea or sudden blood pressure crashes. Let's consider Carmela, age 72, who had migraines and a mild cardiac arrhythmia. She diligently took her medication each morning immediately upon rising, as she was told when she first got the prescription. Over a few months, she developed constant queasiness and occasional dizziness, so severe she could barely shuffle around her house. After speaking with her cardiologist, she discovered that her antiarrhythmic drug was best taken with a light meal. Changing just that one habit not only cleared her nausea, but also improved the medication's effectiveness. Feeling faint or unsteady might seem like a minor inconvenience until it causes a fall that fractures your pelvis or triggers a serious head injury. According to the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, 2019 Healthy Aging and Medication Management. The likelihood of ER visits due to medication-related missteps climbs with age. When you lack a meal in your stomach, your body absorbs certain drugs, faster intensifying side effects, such as extreme drowsiness, dizziness, or disorientation. If you've ever had that moment when you nearly toppled after standing up too fast, Know that combining a sudden posture change with an empty stomach medication can compound the danger. Then if your day starts with that jarring experience, you're less likely to get out for your routine walk or stay engaged in social activities depriving you of critical exercise and mental stimulation. Also consider the indirect effects on heart health. When your blood pressure medication slams into your system unopposed, your pressure can drop precipitously, which sometimes leads to arrhythmias or insufficient blood flow to the brain. Over time, repeated episodes of hypotension can strain the cardiovascular system. You might not think you're at risk for stroke or a heart attack, but any pattern that destabilizes your circulation can create openings for bigger problems. Therefore, the next time you reach for your pill organizer, pair it with something as simple as a piece of fruit or a slice of whole grain bread. Your body will thank you. Now let's discuss the third easily overlooked hazard: jumping out of bed too fast. Picture this: you've just awakened eager for the day, and within seconds you fling your legs off the bed, stand up and head to the bathroom. But your cardiovascular system isn't a light switch. It doesn't instantly calibrate to upright posture. For older adults especially, blood pressure regulation can lag by several seconds. If you move from lying to standing too fast, your BP can plummet, resulting in that swirling, room-spinning sensation. Falls are the leading cause of injury among seniors, a statistic confirmed by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC 2020, Home and Recreational Safety Breaking. A hip can lead to complications that permanently impact mobility independence and overall lifespan. This risk multiplies if you also struggle with hydration issues or medication side effects. So your morning can become a perfect storm: dehydrated from the night, partially dizzy from your first medication, and then you vault out of bed. One miscalculation can land you in the operating room, facing a grueling rehab that may take months to complete. Take 76-year-old Bernice, a retired librarian who loved to greet the day at sunrise. She'd jump out of bed the moment her eyes opened, insisting she had no time for lazy transitions. That approach worked until one morning she felt a surge of lightheadedness and collapsed by the dresser. She broke her wrist, and the sudden trauma left her reliant on neighbors for basic tasks like grocery runs. Eventually, her doctor explained that letting her feet dangle off the bed for just 30 seconds, then sitting upright for another 15 seconds before standing might have prevented that catastrophe. Why does posture change matter? Aging bodies have stiffer blood vessels and a slower autonomic response, meaning your heart rate and vascular tone don't adjust as nimbly as they did in your 30s. That delayed compensation can cause orthostatic hypotension, a sudden drop in blood pressure triggered by changing position. In severe cases, it can impair blood flow to the brain, culminating in blackouts or dramatic dizziness. While such episodes might be brief, the physical damage from a fall can last a lifetime. And what about the heart and stroke risk? Chronic micro-injuries to the body's regulatory systems can add up. If your morning routine constantly jolts your circulation, you may aggravate an already compromised cardiovascular network. Over years, this can heighten vulnerability to more serious disruptions, like blockages in arteries that supply the heart or brain. Simply put, standing up slowly is not a sign of weakness. It's a protective measure that could save you from a debilitating event. Finally, there's the fourth culprit: high sugar, carb, heavy breakfasts. Have you ever felt your energy soar after a cinnamon roll or a sugary cereal, only to crash spectacularly an hour later? That roller coaster ride is no mere inconvenience. It's a real strain on your metabolism. As we age, our cells become more resistant to insulin, the hormone that ushers glucose into cells for energy. Overloading on refined carbs first thing floods your bloodstream with glucose, provoking a surge of insulin followed by a sharp plunge. This cycle can contribute to weight gain, fluctuating blood sugars, and an elevated risk for type 2 diabetes. More gravely, repeatedly spiking your blood sugar can injure blood vessels. According to a study cited by the American Heart Association, Circulation 2018, repeated sugar surges are correlated with inflammation in the arterial walls. Inflamed arteries are more prone to plaque buildup, a major factor in heart disease and stroke. While that donut may offer a moment of joy day after day, it can drive you toward conditions that drastically shorten life expectancy. Think of your breakfast as an investment in stable metabolic function. If you invest in junk, you'll pay the price with instability and increased cardiac risk. Gloria, age 74, used to start every morning with processed cereal and a glass of fruit juice. She'd perk up briefly, then find herself nodding off around 10 a.m. or fumbling for a sugary snack to revive her. After a sobering talk with her nutritionist, she shifted to oatmeal topped with berries and a boiled egg on the side. Within days, Gloria noticed fewer energy dips, less brain fog, and steadier blood glucose readings. Remember that many seniors already fight borderline or diagnosed diabetes, high blood pressure, or cholesterol issues. A sugary start compounds these vulnerabilities. Over time, repeated spikes can damage kidneys and accelerate cognitive decline. If your brain and heart are constantly exposed to metabolic turbulence, it's not far-fetched to imagine a heart attack or a stroke as the final disastrous outcome of years of sugar overload. A protein and fiber-rich breakfast is critical for seniors. Avoid extreme carbohydrate bombs, says Harvard T.H. Chan, School of Public Health, 2019. The nutrition source. Equally important is how those volatile blood sugar spikes sabotage your mental and emotional well-being. Extreme highs and lows can trigger irritability, difficulty concentrating, and even symptoms that mimic anxiety. Throw in the fact that many seniors already contend with medication-induced side effects, and you have a perfect metabolic storm. The end game is not just about your waistline. It's about protecting your cognitive function, emotional balance, and cardiovascular integrity. By choosing a balanced breakfast, you lay a stable foundation for your day and your long-term vitality. So how do we break these habits? Let's map a step-by-step solution to each morning error that might seem small, but can trigger dramatic health outcomes if left unchecked. First, hydration. Place a glass of water on your bedside table, so it's the first thing you see upon waking. Drink it before you brush your teeth, sip coffee, or turn on the news. Let that water prime your circulation and support your body's overnight cleansing efforts. Second, if your doctor permits, never take medication on an empty stomach. Even a modest snack, like half a banana, a small cup of yogurt, or a slice of toast can stabilize your GI tract and smooth out your absorption rate. Double-check with your pharmacist or physician about each pill's recommended timing. Not all medications require food, but plenty do. You should also consider tracking how you feel 30 minutes after taking your meds. If you're habitually experiencing nausea or dizziness, address it with a medical professional. Consult your physician for all medication changes. A short phone call or appointment can prevent a long hospital stay. Third, practice the slow rise. When your alarm goes off, resist the urge to leap into action. Instead, take a moment for deep breathing, gently rotate your ankles, wiggle your toes, and let your blood pressure stabilize. Sit up slowly, then after a brief pause, place your feet on the floor and stand cautiously. These few extra seconds can be the difference between a stable morning and an injurious fall. Finally, reevaluate your breakfast. Swap sugary cereals for high-fiber whole grain options. Add protein, whether it's eggs, cottage cheese, or a handful of nuts. Incorporate fruit for natural sweetness and antioxidants, not syrup-laden or sugar-drenched alternatives. Now you might be thinking, this sounds too basic. Can it really save my life? According to decades of research, yes, these small corrections can drastically reduce the risk of fainting spells, blood sugar collapses, and other chain reactions that culminate in sudden health disasters. We're not talking about unproven tricks. We're talking about well-documented strategies that geriatric specialists endorse for preserving strength, cognition, and independence. Remember, any significant shift in your routine should be done in coordination with your healthcare provider. Before we move on, we want to hear from you. Have you ever noticed this sign? Comment, "I feel it" if you relate, "I'm safe" if not, and add a question for the doctor. Your experiences matter, and sharing them helps us shed light on the silent morning pitfalls faced by so many. Every story is unique, but the underlying patterns often match. By speaking up, you might help someone else recognize a subtle warning they've ignored for too long. So scroll down and let us know, are your mornings as stable as you thought? To really drill these points home, here's a 7-day reboot challenge you can start tomorrow. Each day, commit to 4 micro changes in your morning routine. Drink a full glass of water upon waking. 2, have a light snack with your meds, if medically advised. 3, rise from bed, gently sit first, then stand. 4, opt for a balanced, protein-rich breakfast. At the end of the week, track improvements in your energy, steadiness, and overall mood. Share your results with a friend or family member who can do the challenge alongside you, turning accountability into motivation. Snap photos of your new breakfast or your bedside water and post them on social media to inspire others. This is not a gimmick, but a guided shift in daily habits that truly matter for long-term health. Sticking with it for 7 days can rewire your muscle memory, making good choices your new default. Plus, it's a great conversation starter. You might be surprised how many folks quietly struggle with the same issues. If you want an even shorter test, try a 24-hour version of this plan. Write down exactly how you feel in the morning of day one and compare that to day two after adopting these strategies just once. Sometimes the difference in clarity, equilibrium, and even your emotional state can be noticeable immediately. When you see that quick reward, you'll be more inclined to continue. And if it doesn't change overnight, don't worry. Some improvements take a few days, but the payoff is worth every effort. As you proceed, remember that re-educating your body on better habits might require patience. If you've spent years, maybe decades doing the opposite, it won't feel natural at first. You might forget to have your snack before your pills or find yourself already out the door without having sipped any water. That's normal. Keep going, stay consistent, and by the end of the week, you'll have taken a major step towards safeguarding your blood pressure, your mood, and potentially your life. Healthcare experts like Dr. Michael Greger emphasize that lifestyle adjustments often outshine medications in terms of their cumulative protective effect on chronic conditions. American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine, 2016. By embedding these new practices into your morning routine, you're essentially giving your body a daily advantage in fighting off age-related decline. Don't let inertia or skepticism hold you back. Test it for 7 days. Prove to yourself that small, consistent actions can rewrite your story. Let's explore two more scenarios that show how urgent these changes can be. Jake, a 68-year-old accountant, was known to skip breakfast entirely, just black coffee and out the door. Within a few hours, his blood sugar would crater, leaving him woozy and prone to errors at work. One day, while reviewing critical financial reports, he fainted at his desk. Doctors concluded that prolonged morning fasting combined with certain anti-hypertensive meds made him dangerously vulnerable to acute low blood pressure episodes. Next, look at Cheryl, age 70, a part-time dance instructor who'd always prided herself on boundless energy. But she had a secret: she devoured sugar-laced cereal every morning, believing it would give her a quick jolt for her early classes. Her students started noticing she'd fade halfway through the session, occasionally needing to sit down. Eventually, Cheryl sought medical advice and discovered borderline diabetes, switched to a protein shake and whole grain toast her doctor advised. And within weeks, she felt steadier, danced longer, and didn't need mid-class sugar hits to power through. These stories underscore a point: ignoring a balanced morning routine can do more than just hamper your day. It can cut short your independence and erode your capacity to do what you love. Whether that's dancing, working, gardening, or traveling, no one wakes up expecting to faint, break a bone, or face a cardiac scare. But as these individuals found out, the stage was set by everyday patterns that went unchecked for years. The question is, are you setting a similar stage for your own health? If you wait until you're flat on your back in a hospital bed, it might be too late to unravel the damage. That's the fear factor. We don't often discuss how easy it is to slip into small errors that have catastrophic consequences. You may think you're safe, only to discover in one cruel instant that your morning routine has chipped away at your defenses for far too long. Falling once can lead to a spiral of complications. A minor fracture can turn into a major operation, long rehab, and increased dependency on others, things no one wants. Break that chain of events by addressing your mornings. Now, don't rely on luck or the assumption it won't happen to me, because it can, and it does every day. The best part, you hold the power to prevent it. The only catch is you have to act before that unlucky moment strikes. Medical research shows that your body's circadian rhythms heavily influence how you process food, fluids, and medication. First thing in the morning, stress hormones like cortisol are already on the rise, preparing you to awaken. If you pile on a sugar-laden breakfast, you amplify that cortisol spike, creating an even more turbulent metabolic environment. At the same time, your blood pressure typically registers its highest levels in the early hours, a phenomenon known as the morning surge. Often cited in cardiovascular studies, Blood Pressure Monitoring Journal, 2015. Combining these natural fluctuations with dehydration, Abrupt posture changes and ill-timed meds sets the stage for a perfect storm. That's precisely why doctors often remind patients, especially seniors, to be extra mindful of morning patterns. Instead of letting your first steps be governed by haste or habit, strategic planning can stabilize you for the rest of the day. Even the simple act of deep breathing in bed can counter the cortisol rush, helping your heart and mind remain steady. Meanwhile, fueling with protein and healthy fats can prevent those wild glycemic swings that hurt both brain function and cardiovascular health. The morning isn't just the start of your day, it's the foundation upon which the next 24 hours are built. Chronic conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, and arthritis can be worsened by a suboptimal morning routine. For instance, if you skip water and your blood volume dips, your kidneys can suffer strain over time. If you take anti-inflammatory pills on an empty stomach, you might aggravate stomach ulcers or gastrointestinal bleeding. If you consume a massive dose of sugar before your system is ready, you can push pre-diabetes into full-blown type 2 diabetes. These aren't scare stories. They're logical outcomes supported by decades of clinical observation. Think of each morning as a chance to reset your internal environment. Mistakes made at the start can echo throughout the day, from spiking stress hormones to repeated episodes of dizziness. On the flip side, good choices in the morning can yield a positive chain reaction: more stable blood pressure, reduced cravings, and consistent energy that lets you stay active and socially engaged. Fewer dips and spikes in your vitals mean less overall wear and tear on your heart and brain. And that translates to a lower risk of catastrophic events that can rob you of the golden years you've worked so hard to enjoy. So as you refine your morning habits, realize you're doing more than just feeling better. You're actively shielding yourself against some of the most life-altering complications known to modern medicine. Stroke, heart failure, dangerous arrhythmias. None of these occur in a vacuum. They feed on vulnerabilities that accumulate over time, and your morning routine can either build or erode your resilience. Take charge now while you can still make a difference. Let's amplify that 7-day reboot challenge with a detailed checklist. You can print or jot down: 1. Bedside hydration. Each night, place a sealed bottle or glass of water on your nightstand. Wake, drink, then proceed. 2. Medication pairing. If your medication requires food, keep a small snack ready. If you need to wait 30 minutes between meds and food, e.g. certain thyroid medications, schedule your morning accordingly. 3. Slow rise routine. Sit up in bed. Flex your feet, do 3 deep breaths, then stand slowly. 4. Smart breakfast: oatmeal or whole grain toast with protein, eggs, cottage cheese, nut butter, plus a portion of fruit. 5. Self-monitor note: any dizziness, nausea, or extreme fatigue? Adjust and consult your physician if problems persist. By day 3, try to observe changes in your alertness and mood. By day 5, see if your blood pressure readings, if you track them at home, show better consistency, or if your blood sugar logs remain more stable. At day 7, assess whether you've improved in at least 3 categories: energy levels, mental clarity, and balance. If you see a difference, share that outcome with a friend or family member who might need the same wake-up call. If you see no difference, speak with a healthcare professional to see if any underlying condition might be blocking progress. This approach fosters awareness. No longer are you sailing through autopilot, ignoring thirst signals or your body's pleas for gentler transitions. Instead, you're proactively tailoring your morning to match your physiology. That shift in mindset can spill over into other parts of your day. Maybe you'll extend your walks by 5 more minutes or experiment with healthier lunch options. That's the beauty of holistic well-being. Small changes in one area create ripples that transform your entire lifestyle. Remember, any existing medical regimen should remain intact unless your physician advises otherwise. If you suspect your medication schedule itself is flawed, discuss it during your next visit. Bring your newfound observations, like that persistent wave of nausea at 7:30 a.m. or the faintness you feel at 8 a.m. after standing. These details help professionals calibrate your treatment, maximizing benefits while minimizing side effects. Medication is a tool, but when wielded incorrectly, it can become a liability. Ultimately, the 7-day reboot challenge is a spark. It's a way to prove that your body can respond positively to small, meaningful interventions. And when you see results, you'll have the momentum to keep refining your morning habits. This is how long-term transformation begins, one day at a time. 1 glass of water, 1 mindful moment, one thoughtful meal. Give your body that chance, and it may repay you with renewed strength, clearer thinking, and extended independence. People love a shared challenge. So if you're tech savvy, post your daily progress online. Show the new breakfast you're trying or your creative ways of remembering to drink water. Encourage others to attempt the same schedule and compare notes. Public accountability can supercharge your commitment, and you might just save someone else from a dangerous habit they never questioned. That's how we turn a private health shift into a community-driven movement. And if you're not big on social media, share with your local circle neighbors, church groups, sports clubs, or adult education classes. Create a small morning routine improvement group. Check in once a week to celebrate successes and troubleshoot issues. The camaraderie can also alert you to ideas you might never have considered, like switching from store-bought juice to real fruits or preparing a quick protein-packed breakfast burrito the night before. Real solutions often arise when multiple people pool their experiences. If you've already tried something similar and slipped back into old habits, don't be too hard on yourself. Change is never linear, and it's common to revert, especially under stress. The key is to understand that every morning is a fresh chance. Missed your water yesterday. Drink it today. Forgot to stand up slowly this morning. Try again tomorrow. This incremental mindset ensures that you keep moving forward even if you stumble occasionally. Some might ask, aren't we overemphasizing fear? My response, fear can be a potent motivator, especially when it's grounded in real preventable threats. No one wants to dwell on worst-case scenarios, but ignoring them doesn't erase their possibility. If acknowledging that skipping water or downing a sugary breakfast could lead to a stroke wakes you up to reality, then that fear has done its job. Balancing optimism with realistic caution is precisely how we protect ourselves and those we love. Remember, though, that fear should mobilize action, not paralyze you. The takeaway is hope. Hope that simple, consistent habits can avert serious complications. What's more empowering than knowing you can drastically lower your odds of a debilitating event by adjusting how you begin your day? Combine that with regular checkups, moderate exercise, and staying socially connected, and you have a formula for vitality that extends far beyond your 70s. If that's not worth a little caution, I don't know what is. According to the World Health Organization WHO 2017 Global Strategy on Diet, Physical Activity, and Health, incremental improvements in daily habits, including balanced meals and proper hydration, can reduce the risk of chronic disease. This echoes precisely what we're discussing. Dr. Michael Greger, in his book, In Research 2016, How Not to Die, emphasizes that consistent dietary changes, like adding more whole foods, dramatically drop heart disease markers. Meanwhile, the Harvard T. Schan School of Public Health, 2019, Healthy Aging Advocates, Mindful Eating, and Awareness of Medication Interactions, especially in older adults. All these experts converge on one point: small, consistent morning adjustments can deliver significant benefits. You might think I've been doing it my way for decades. I'm too set in my routine to change. But research shows that seniors can adapt effectively when motivated by clear evidence and tangible results. Your age doesn't preclude you from harnessing new strategies. Often it's about finding the right impetus and trusted advice, which these reputable organizations offer in spades. So let their data and decades of experience reassure you that the steps outlined here aren't wild guesses. They're part of an evidence-based approach to aging. Gracefully, Harvard T.H. Chan's numerous studies also reveal that what you eat first can shape your gut microbiome for the entire day. A high-sugar meal encourages the growth of harmful bacteria, while a diet rich in fiber and protein nurtures beneficial flora. That might sound irrelevant to your immediate risk of falling or fainting, but a healthy gut correlates with better immune function, improved mental health, and regulated weight. Over time, those gut-mediated benefits circle back to heart health and stable energy. So if you ever wonder why breakfast is so crucial, you have your answer right there. As Dr. Greger often reminds, it's not about adding years to your life, but adding life to your years. If you want to stay active, whether it's dancing at family weddings or traveling without constant aches and pains, these morning tweaks give you a fighting chance. And that's what real health empowerment looks like. Small, repeatable changes that accumulate into big, life-changing results. Expert advice boils down to that principle, guiding you to refine daily habits. Don't dismiss it as too simple. Simplicity is often the gateway to profound outcomes. So here we stand with the knowledge and tools to dismantle 4 deadly oversights. The question becomes, will you use this information or file it away? The science is consistent, the stories are compelling, and the potential gains are enormous. There's a reason global health authorities stress these points. It's because they work. We've covered the hidden threats in your morning routine. 1. Failing to hydrate first thing. 2. Taking medication on an empty stomach. 3. Shooting out of bed too quickly. 4. Starting the day with excessive sugar and simple carbs. Each of these mistakes can diminish your strength, compromise your balance, and open doors to severe complications like a cardiovascular crisis. You now know that small targeted actions like drinking water immediately after waking, pairing your medicine with a light snack, easing your body upright, and choosing a protein-packed breakfast can protect you. You've heard how individuals from an elderly principal who broke his hip to a dance instructor who needed stable energy have transformed their mornings and consequently their health. You've even got a 7-day reboot challenge to jumpstart better habits. There's nothing left but to put this information into practice, because a safer, healthier future can start tomorrow. Here are your 3 rapid-fire bullet points to remember. Morning hydration is critical. It stabilizes circulation and reduces confusion. Medication timing matters. Most seniors need at least a small bite of food to avoid dizziness. A balanced breakfast, protein, fiber, and good fats keep your body fueled and reduce harmful sugar spikes. These quick truths are your anchor. If you found this eye-opening, please hit the like button and subscribe. Share this script with friends or relatives who might also be one faulty morning habit away from a hospital stay. Your engagement supports our mission to deliver life-saving knowledge, and it might save someone else from a devastating fall or metabolic crisis. Don't forget to drop a comment below with your experiences and questions. Finally, let me leave you with one open question. What's the toughest habit for you to change in the morning, and why do you think it's so hard? Your feedback fuels our future content, and together we can create a community committed to healthier, safer mornings. Whether you're 60, 70, or 80 plus, it's never too late to refine your routines. Each day is a new chance to solidify habits that protect your bones, brain, and heart. Don't wait for a crisis to remind you that life is precious. Act now. Your body will reward you with vitality and resilience for years to come.